So it's little wonder that smart shoppers everywhere take time out to pause and refresh. And where else but in the fountain where they serve ice-cold Coca-Cola?
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the eMilitia from the eMilitia HQ coming at you with part 2 of our libertarian origin stories. We have 3 new stories for you, including Rebellious Liberty, Founding Fathers, aka Dads, and Bootlickers Beware, aka Gramps. And then the rest of us here are just here to add clutter to the whole scenario.
Moral support.
Yeah. And clutter.
Mostly clutter.
So, anyway, since there's only 3 of us, there are 3 new stories. I think after this, we're probably going to get into some other stuff to keep things fun and lively. But for right now, if you haven't listened to part 1 of this, you should probably go do that so you know what the fuck we're talking about right now. And if not, then I hope you enjoy. And I think we're going to kick it off with Reb.
Yep. So, I don't know. My origin story, introduction to libertarianism, is probably pretty similar to a lot of people. I grew up in a normal conservative family, I guess. Not like the neocon stuff, like really actually pretty pro small government. We definitely distrusted the federal government. I mean, obviously there was still local governments are okay, but politicians really suck. But we're still going to vote Republican all the time. Grew up in the country, so big into guns and knowing.
Thank you, I'm flattered.
I know. It's beautiful stuff.
That was touching.
But the whole don't tread on me sort of thing, because we don't believe that taxes really do too much for us, because they don't out there, We have volunteer fire departments is what covers us instead of everything. But I mean, even growing up, I wanted to be in the military, have a job as like a conservation officer, even afterwards, like a park ranger. But even my dad, who was, pretty still in a way pro-government, he wasn't like super anti-government, said it was a bad idea. So it kind of swayed me away from doing stuff like that. But I think I may actually be more libertarian growing up than a lot of other people.
Probably, yeah.
I was going to say,
most of us probably come from. Yeah, most of us come from something not like it at all, I'd say.
Yeah. Sounds like you were libertarian in everything but the label.
Yeah. In a way, I mean, I know for sure I was raised religiously, so I mean, obviously there's kind of that coupling, as most people do, with their personal beliefs and government and law. And so obviously I'm I don't believe, legalizing all drugs was the best thing or whatever. I for sure didn't like the Libertarian Party growing up, but
yeah, I still don't.
Yeah, I mean now I don't, but it's for a different reason. So because now I'm oh yeah, totally have those libertarian ideas.
Anytime somebody says anything about the libertarian, a non-libertarian says I just can't support the Libertarian Party, I'm just I can't even argue with you right now.
Nobody does.
You're right, they suck.
There's one guy, and his name is Gary.
Yeah, I had one guy come through my page the other day. I'm sorry, never mind. Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
Go for it.
A question about Mormonism and such.
Knowing
the history of it, is there kind of any natural distrust of or dislike of government? Because I know they sort of forced the religion to change to become a state now in Utah.
This actually segues perfect into one of my other, points.
That's what I'm here for.
I am Mormon. And
I'm here
Like,
to
I
tell you
know-
about Jehovah.
yeah, Jesus rocks. So anyways, most people don't usually quote religion as a reason why they're anarchist. But in the LDS Church, I think Mormon Church, we're known as Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS. Anyways, pretty much ever since the LDS Church kind of became something, we've had issues with the federal government or the government in general. So the church wasn't super popular in the 1800s, and it was actually ran out of many states, New York, then Ohio, then Missouri. And once we were in Missouri, we had a lot of clashes with people because it was a mass influx of Mormons coming into the state, and Missourians took that as a fear of like, oh, it's against our way of life because we're, pretty different than a lot of people that were in Missouri at the time, because that was like the edge of the frontier, So it was a lot of just people that weren't super necessarily religious, and it was a slave state, and most Mormons at the time were very, very against slavery. But anyways, like those mobs formed and would go to settlements that Mormons created and either try to kill as many as they could or just burn their houses down to teach them a lesson.
They do fucked up shit like tarring and feathering.
Yeah, tar and feathering a lot of Mormons and stuff. And
Yeah, who does that? That's fucked up.
I know,
Well,
crazy.
to Mormons, Mormons are lovely, friendly people.
Yeah.
Politicians,
Yeah,
I would
tax collectors are a
tar
different story.
fuck out of people.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
not-
so like
not
people
really.
started having, issues with that, so we naturally started defending ourselves against it. Obviously, that just created a bigger fight and more fears within the government. And so at that time, the governor of Missouri actually signed an executive order to evacuate all Mormons by force or kill them if they wouldn't comply.
Jesus Christ.
What year was this?
Jesus.
When did this
it was-
happen?
It was in the 1800s, probably around 1840s.
Wait,
It's
where
still,
was this?
still
Like,
pretty
within
fucking
Utah?
recent.
This was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I mean, actually,
So is there a name for this historical event? Like, is there a name for this? Like, I've never heard this. I consider myself somewhat a history buff. Like, where do I look at this? And where do I
look it up on Wikipedia even?
What
I
do we
mean,
Google here?
you could like Mormons in Missouri or like Governor Boggs's executive order, extermination order.
Extermination Order of the Mormons? All right.
So, anyways,
Sign over
like,
here.
yeah, I mean, it was like pretty much on the books of law. Like, you could kill a Mormon without any legal recourse. And that actually like was
I'm not
still
laughing
kind of
at that,
in
I
their books
promise.
until the 1970s, I think, when Missouri officially removed it and like apologized to the church for it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops. Our bad.
Anyways, like the church, like members even went to the president of the United States for it, and the president basically said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you guys," which is kind of weird because I thought the Constitution protected them, but I guess not.
No, because you're
So-
different. You were
Constitution is
Catholic.
open to
So-
interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, so that kind of like screwed people over. We fled to Illinois. Illinois like kicked us out essentially. So we fled the entire country to the frontier, which is now Utah. And for 75 years around there, like the government feared that we planned on overthrowing them the entire time.
That would have been real cool of you.
Google it.
Yeah,
And
and then,
so, like,
then we'd be
yeah.
a religious
Be
state.
cooler if you
Yeah.
And so
I'm
they
not
like
even a Mormon.
actually sent armies out fairly often to make sure we weren't preparing for any big war like that.
Damn. that's
So-
Did
dope.
they give you any like anything like they did with the Native Americans, where they gave you guys special laws or a special federal government agency to watch over you?
No, essentially,
yeah.
they annexed our land and said you're going to become a state, and they kind of like shrink the size of Utah because it used to be a bit bigger. And then, I mean, it's like at that point, I mean, no one was super against it. I mean, I think people were.
How
at the
much
same
did they
time.
shrink it?
The
So
people who lived on the border.
yeah,
so,
I mean,
how consistently through like the LDS like is like anti-government sentiments, like is that a thing, or is that like, was that your family particularly, or is that like
that was the entire
is that
church.
like a church? Okay.
And I mean, a
What about
lot
the
of
fucking
people.
convert?
A lot of
Damn,
people
you guys
are
are fucking woke.
pretty still have somewhat of an anti-government mindset if you're from the West, especially because they obviously still have their own issues with them. But you know the Bundys, the Bundy Ranch standoff.
Yeah.
The Bundys, they're Mormon, and their close friends in the militia are Mormon as well. And they quote scripture all the time, saying why they're doing their things and stuff. And so it still runs pretty deep. And I actually almost joined the standoff. That's one of my stories. Is I was living in Vegas at the time, and it kicked off. And if it weren't for my situation at the time, I was 100% ready to go up there and like join the standoff.
What was your situation?
I had no money, and I was basically living out there trying to do more of like service work than anything. So,
even poor men can die a martyr, you know.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't have guns. I didn't have anything at all.
They gotta get to the field. They gotta have a kit, though.
Nah, I don't need shit. Just run. Naruto run.
Yeah. Someone will give you a spare mag, and then just wait for someone to drop a gun.
Right.
Yeah, true. So, anyways.
Fucking guns are sitting here like, oh, you didn't die in the standoff. Be cooler if you did.
Yeah,
if you did.
But that was before I was even like super like anarchist. I mean, I was like I consider myself like a conservative Republican still at the time, but I still didn't like the feds, and I didn't like how things were going. And I grew up that way, but it still took a couple years for me to like actually flip the switch in my mind and be like, you know what? The government just sucks all around. So
it's interesting that you had like a pretty direct route, but disregarding the labels. Like you were much more like, oh wait, this is what I believe. I'm not really like an anti-government conservative or Republican. I'm just an anarchist, and I always kind of have lent that way. Whereas most of us, we had to fucking shrug it off.
Yeah, like a lot of my extended family, they're Libertarian Party, and a lot of them I think are now anarchists. And so I heard about it pretty early on. And my dad was like, "No, that stuff is garbage. Like, you believe in legalizing all drugs? There's no personal responsibility in that." And blah blah blah. And now I look back and I'm like,
what? That doesn't make any sense at all. But whatever.
It's all personal responsibility.
Wait, who the fuck said that?
My dad, basically to his siblings, talking about why Libertarian Party and stuff isn't what the route he wants to go.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, so don't hold it against him, but I look back and I'm like, that is stupid because it's not true.
Hold it against him with some force.
Oh,
like it leaves an imprint.
I'm sorry.
Never even met the guy.
Still,
I even I don't know, because I did realize I was more libertarian than anything else, but I still just couldn't follow the party. And then Trump came, and I'll admit, I hopped on the Trump train for a little bit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Disgrace.
And then I finally started realizing, kind of before that, like my first year of college, I had a buddy who was a voluntarist.
Yeah, voluntarist.
And
sure.
He never actually said that label or anything, but like we would discuss politics a bit, and he kind of started me I really respected his opinion because I knew what he had actually stuff to back it, and I realized I didn't have a lot to back some of my talk. And so being Facebook friends over the years with him, I started seeing stuff he posted, and then I became more and more realizing hey, I agree with this stuff a lot more than I thought I did.
Was that in the era where you were on the Trump train?
It was before, and then also during. I was friends with them before that. It was back 2012, I think. I was friends with them. And 2012 on, I saw stuff every so often. I'm like, I can back that, but I definitely can't back that. This whole anarchy thing he posts sometimes, that's just crazy, dude. But throughout the years, I realized more and more, and then I was still I'm not going to waste my vote on that. I'm going to vote for one of the two main parties, because Republicans at least aren't like Democrats, right? But
so you thought,
yeah. And then finally, I think I realized it wasn't quite the same. Like the Republican Party still sucks, and I decided to like search out a little bit more. I found Whiskey and Rebellion's contents, and that started converting me to the idea, what like most of us, I think. Even though I thought it was like kind of radical at first, it kind of opened the door for me. And then listening to Tom Woods, I think, is my biggest like converter after that. Of like, I was listening to his podcasts and I was reading a lot of anarcho-capitalist and anarcho-communist stuff. And it just converted me instantly. Like it clicked, the philosophy and the fact that like liberty over everything kind of had been taught my whole life. Like it gave me consistency and clarity, I guess. And so
when you don't have to like cite a paragraph or a essay or an article for every argument, you're just like, well, the common sense, rebuttal to that is this.
Yeah.
Especially from a group of people that have been oppressed like that and pushed out of states and had laws made specifically against them where, you can just, because they're part of the church, you can kill them.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, that definitely obviously doesn't. So there definitely is a distrust of government. It's going away a bit, obviously, because we're in the government now. So that kind of brainwashes everyone no matter what. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, from a young age, I was taught my whole life, like the government did not help us, And so like finally I became more consistent and realized the government still doesn't help us no matter who we are. So like, I do think there are actually a lot of Mormons that have this ideology, and since having my page and like saying I've been Mormon, I've had a lot of people actually come to me and say, hey, you too? And so it's been kind of cool to see that I'm not the only crazy one. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
I think there's
a few people as well that mentioned that they're Mormon. I don't know why they tell me, but it seems to be
Anglo, as a religious man.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I mean, it's fun because then I'll get people that have been like, well, religion, stupid. You're a statist for it. I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't care to argue religion. I'm here to argue politics. And like in the end, like that's my personal belief and yours is yours. And
well, I think they're two different things as long as you keep them separate. You can bring them together, but that doesn't work out for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's two different levels. Like as long as you can bring them together on a personal level, but as long as you're not
collective
on
about
anybody
it.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
And, like-
there's no you can believe whatever you want personally, but as long as
Oh,
you're not
well, yeah,
forcing it on
yeah,
anybody,
definitely.
I don't give a fuck.
And that's like one of the leaders of our church, Joseph Smith. You probably heard of him from South Park.
Wasn't he the guy that got the book out of the sky or something?
Yeah, pretty
On
much.
South Park.
But yeah. So
The plates.
he's attributed a quote that says, I teach people good principles and then I let them govern themselves. And
That's
so
pretty good.
That's a good quote.
like
That's crazy.
I know.
Is everyone rushing their phones right now to post that on Instagram?
So I mean, the more I look at it, the more like to me, like, hey, look, religion doesn't need to be coupled with politics, and in the end, it's like, hey, you do you, I'll do me, and I'm here to argue, what directly affects us in politics, because I think everyone should be free to believe or live how they want to be. Lit.
Hey, Reb, I've got one more question.
Yeah.
So I went to Google the Mormon thing where they were like shrinking the size of the state and they were pushing y'all all together.
Yeah.
And I put in Mormon, and the first thing that came up was Mormon underwear. Is there anything you want to like tell us about that?
What?
Story behind that?
What?
I didn't click on it because I didn't really want to.
I've been wanting him
but
to
I'd
ask
love your
this since he
input.
first told me he was a Mormon,
Yeah.
but was
So-
kind of embarrassed to be the
Is that
first
a
one to
thing?
ask.
Oh no, I'll
So
take
that-
the bullet. It's all good.
That
This is a thing.
is a thing. So,
Oh,
like how,
It's because they keep their underwear on during sex.
no, that's weird. But
Oh,
They
shit.
keep their
I
socks
didn't even
on.
know.
They keep their underwear on. I'm
Don't
telling
you?
you.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no, that's
That's
weird.
because they live
Is
up
it?
north, man. It's cold.
That's the personal thing, I guess. 'Cause I don't do
False,
that,
man.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So just like any other religion has some sort of sacred clothing, we have some that many of our members wear through choice, to help remind us of our like inner commitment to God and stuff. So
What's different about it?
Yeah, thank
Is it
you.
blessed
Yeah,
by the Mormon
You got a
rabbi?
chastity
or
belt
something?
built in?
What's it like?
I don't even
Does it have a
know.
lock on it?
It's just no, that doesn't have that.
Is it a certain kind of fabric?
No. There's a lot of different types of fabrics you can get. So
Well,
I don't know.
what's
I just
somebody's
what's
just
like
what's
special?
different?
Like what's
Is
the
it like
identifying
blessed?
thing?
Is it blessed?
I think it must be blessed in some way. I think it's supposed to just be more symbolic than anything. It's
So
like,
you
hey,
don't
Okay.
know, which means you don't wear them, which means you are a heathen.
no,
Oh my
Or
Impure.
they are bullshit.
I do
I mean,
wear them, but
I clicked on the link because I'm curious.
Well,
and
so
honestly,
you
they
do
look
wear
like
'em?
long johns.
yeah,
So you
Oh, they're long
you have to
johns.
buy them from a special place? Like, what makes them special? Like, do you just buy underwear and say, "Well, this is my Mormon underwear"?
Yeah, like do you wear like Fruit of
Like,
the Loom, or does it?
You have to buy them from a. You have to buy
I
them from
feel
the
like I
church.
feel like everyone's throwing a lot of questions.
I'm
around.
scared. I don't know what to
I'm
do.
just-
Yeah, none of them related to
Curious.
his fucking origin
Yeah.
story, by the way.
Fruit of the Loom sucks.
This
I get
is
hands.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Sorry, I wasn't
so-
trying to start a tangent. I was just curious.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah,
I wear
it
Duluth
exists.
Trading Co.
Oh, I heard that stuff rocks.
It's
does rock.
expensive as fuck.
You guys wear
Crotch
underwear?
gusset.
It's better than one.
Hang them, you're old, man. Not all of us can just let it all hang.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
You've all seen the shitter pics, and no, I don't wear.
Sometimes you send shitter pics and you're not even wearing pants.
This is true.
That's the best way to poop, in my opinion.
those are my
He is
favorite.
That's
that is
God
the sign of a
intended.
truly free man.
that is the perks of being the master of your domain.
Gramps gets totally naked take a shit every time.
The only thing more domestic
Like,
than pooping
God-
without pants is pooping outside.
God forbid Gramps has to take a shit at a formal event because he's gonna be in the bathroom for like 30 minutes. He's gonna have to put his tie back on and everything.
Dude, I don't. I only.
Oh, yeah,
shit
and
at
everything
my
before
house.
putting it back on.
I only shit at my house. Like, there's,
Oh fuck that, dude! I don't like. So many people are like that. I don't give a fuck. I don't.
I was
Like, if
gonna
I
say-
gotta
Same.
shit, if
Like,
I gotta
to be-
shit, I've got to shit. It don't matter.
I'm hourly, so yeah.
Right? Yeah. I
Nope.
shit like 8 times a day, dude. Dead ass. Like,
Dude.
I try to set
years-
my schedule so I'm at home for it, but don't always work out that way. I don't always make the
My
schedule. Sometimes
I'm
what I
always
ate made the
poop at
schedule,
work.
and then I just go where is available.
I'm at work
years and
for,
years
like-
of charter fishing and knowing that like shitting was not an option.
oh,
Like, no,
shitting is an option. Shitting
This
is
is gonna be a
definitely
good
an option on a
podcast,
boat.
man.
no, dude.
This is gonna be good. People are
Yes,
gonna
it
be
is.
interested in
I've
this.
seen it. I saw it just a few weeks ago. He did it in a Firehouse Subs bucket. It was awful.
That sucks.
And you have and yeah, no, yes,
Oh.
yes, it happened, but we also questioned the intellect of the individual to a point where I didn't know if you were being ironic or if this
No.
was an actual deficit. But we can move on and
Completely
just
serious.
know what we're talking about.
But one more thing, and then we can move on.
I think this is the worst tangent we've ever
Dads.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
bad, sorry.
So I'm at work. I'm at work for like roughly 13 hours a day on my
Yeah.
my own rotations.
Okay.
There's no way. Like if I end up having to take a shit at the beginning of the shift, there's no way I'm going to be uncomfortable for the majority of an entire day to wait until I get home. So like I'm
Yeah,
taking
or-
I'm taking a shit. I don't care. If I'm at
All right.
Walmart, I'm not walking around Walmart having to take a shit.
Prairie
Go-
dog.
take
Dude,
a shit in
I'm
Walmart.
completely on
I-
board with that. Why'd you
All right,
single me out?
I'm about to tell the eMilitia. I'm about to share a fucking hysterical story. I have a buddy who's a realtor, and like he's like known within our friend group as like this kid. He like has IBS, and like all of a sudden he'll need to take a shit. So like we are on our way to go see a concert up in like at like a couple counties over, 2-hour drive or whatever. Man, all of a sudden we're in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, "Dude, I gotta take a shit." And we're like, "Well, what the fuck, bro?" And he like, next thing you know, he pulls up his like realtor app and finds the nearest house with the listing that has like an open house. Goes in there and
No
blows
way.
the fucking bathroom up.
That is awesome.
That's smart as hell, though. I need to download.
And
one.
bro, and then we carry on like we were like nothing ever happened. It was the most convenient thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, that fucking
awesome.
poor
That was the
realtor.
situation.
That's awesome.
Damn,
If
that
that
poor
was my
realtor. He
situation, I would shit outside of my own house. But like that would be like me shitting at somebody else's house. Like
Man,
and then that's even weirder. But like this is somebody that I'll never see.
Yeah.
And like it's like a phantom shit.
That's how I justify most of my life decisions.
Yeah, same. So, Rev.
It's the most gangster shit I ever seen in my life. Like
That's pretty
if I was in
fucking
this
awesome.
situation and I had to shit, like I would be forced to go shit at like a fucking CVS or somewhere else. Like,
Oh,
you
no,
know,
man.
that would just
If it's
suck.
a road trip, you go to a hotel.
Completely sub. But my point is, it's still completely subpar shit. And like he, by grace of like this perk that he has, he just pulls up his app and like here's a perfect like he's scanning through
He's done
which
this
house
before.
he was gonna shit in. He was like, which of these houses am I gonna shit in? Like,
That's pretty fucking awesome.
that one looks pretty gangster. I'm gonna go shit there. Like, let's go.
That's a huge perk of the job, actually. Like that's a
I
selling
want to
point.
get my real estate license.
Damn, you can have drive-through shits. You can just pull up at a house, take a shit, leave.
Dude, it was the fucking craziest thing I've seen in
Dude,
my
they
life.
should do. It's like it should be like Airbnb, but for
It
toilets.
could be like a service, right? Dude, that should be a
Right.
service.
Oh,
That could be a
right.
service.
Like it had to. It would have to be cheap. It would have to be like $2.
But no one wants.
$2.50 a poop?
You would still pay to not
make
go in
money
a
then.
gas station.
Yeah, but like
Because think about
exactly,
it, it's pure
it's gonna
profit.
be clean.
You
It's
would
gonna be
tip
really
on-
clean.
You would tip for cleanliness. It would
Yeah.
be like a base rate, and then like
They probably have
that was just
mints.
on fleet. That was
They
just
probably have like
perfect.
mints in there or like crackers
But,
or something.
Outside of like the cost of toilet
turn
paper, it's
turn
pure
the faucet
profit.
on for me. Put the soap in my hand, dude. Like done.
Right. If they have a bidet, it's like $5.
Woo! All right, back to our story. Sorry.
I'm inventing this app.
Right.
Jesus.
Dude, this is a money making opportunity.
Airbnb.
Capitalism. This
For
is
every-
capitalism.
Yeah.
This is
For
Air-
everybody listening, buy
air,
shares
pee,
now.
and pee. Air, pee, and poop.
There will be
Yep.
an Uber for anything now.
Pooper.
Someone's gonna steal this idea.
Fuck's sake. So this is episode 10. We are really making ground. And episode 10, we talk about shitting for about
Yeah.
5 minutes. It's like, someone's going to be like, all right, I'll just pick the newest episode to cue in on these guys.
Dude,
Like,
dude.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
no.
Imagine if this is the first episode somebody listened to.
yeah, they were talking about religious freedom and shit. And then they just...
I told them not to at the beginning. I said, if you haven't listened to part 1, go listen to part 1.
Yeah,
They're gonna
Which
like
would be,
it.
which would
that's
be
really my
episode
bad.
4.
I got us on that. That's my bad.
Everyone poops.
Yeah, who brought up
We just
poop?
related the entire nation.
Who did it? Who brought up poop?
I think I brought up the underwear. I don't know
You
who
idiot.
brought up poop.
All right.
It goes to
So,
that.
does anyone have any final sort of comments, questions?
Well,
for,
did Reb finish first of all?
yes.
Yeah, pretty good. I am
oh,
now an anarchist.
He
Wait,
finished strong. He finished
I-
strongly.
I have one final question.
Rebs
So-
was badass. It was like way more badass
Yeah.
than all of
Yeah,
ours.
that was like,
Yeah.
that's like I'm gonna feel like a douche now. My story.
Yeah,
sucks.
we were like,
Oh,
well,
I
you
feel
know,
bad for anyone having to follow that up.
Yeah,
Like,
Like, totally, he set you guys up for failure.
did.
religious segregation and fucking
Fucking
discrimination, like some real
Right.
strife
Great.
among all kinds of real shit.
Gramps
All of
gonna be
ours
like,
just like we you know,
I just
all
wanted to
these
grow
guns-
plants. I just wanted to grow plants and shoot guns.
Exactly.
Man, can I like save mine for episode 3? I don't want to follow that.
No, it's too bad. You have to go next too.
We'll
all right. So
Yeah.
my final question for Rebs would be, because we all sort of like went into how we started our page. So what was like your final kind of, roadblock to full on anarchy, and when did you start your page?
So I'd say I definitely wanted to be a minarchist for a while. And then I think I would say August
Oh,
to
shit.
September of 2018.
I remember the day.
This
Yeah,
nigga's got
like,
the day.
Right around there, it hit me where I'm like, dude, you're an anarchist. Like, you might believe in, people wanting to do voluntary governments, but at the same time, if you don't want to be part of that, I believe you shouldn't. And to me, it became very obvious that like anarchy is the way to go, because minarchy is, no offense, Anglo, but it just,
I was
it
waiting
just
for
kind
that.
of grows sometimes.
Ooh.
So
Cancer.
But yeah, and then I created my page after Whiskey got his big Zuck for the first time, I think.
Yeah.
And that was like
I started just before that, and I was like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, that was like my inspiration of like, you know what, this is obviously being censored, and I do have an opinion, and you know, I'm able to put that out there just as easily. And I saw Babylon selling merch, and then I'm like, dude, if I had 5,000 followers and they each bought a shirt and I got $10 profit from that, I'd get $50,000.
Capitalism.
And then, so that made me really want to do it. And then I realized that I
You're a
can't
man
sell
of
shirts
God.
very
You
well.
shouldn't want such
Man,
material things.
so-
Now you're just in it for the money. You don't even.
Yeah, I sold out.
Yeah, what a piece of shit, honestly.
Like the total like $100 I've made, I think.
Man, that was a shitty ending to your big
Yeah,
religious.
you just
video.
fucked it all up. Everything
Just
was
didn't
like,
take money.
And then I
literally
donated
everything
it
was
all.
so morally sound and like.
You just gave Founding a chance. All he has to do is not be a sellout.
And now you're literally
recovered
just
from
like,
it.
oh, I'm an anarchist.
You're a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm like, I actually don't believe any of this, but I want to make money off you, so whatever.
You know what? For shame, Rebs. Speaking of which, I've just started my brand, Liberty Punk Inc. You should really check it out. Link in my bio.
It's actually fucking great. I'll put the
For shame.
Plug.
For shame.
I'll put the link in the YouTube description because it's actually fucking brilliant. You've made me proud, boy. That shit's good. I want to get some.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I have like 2 design ideas that I'm like trying to apply to shirts and hoodies and like patches, but that's it. I don't have any more ideas. I need to make more ideas. I only have like 2.
I want to do patches, but that means ordering them in bulk from someone, and then I have to ship them from a PO box. Whereas Teespring just takes care of everything for me because I'm a busy fucker. So it's laziness wins.
Same.
Sorry, people.
Patches are
Hey.
dope though.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
patches.
I can
I'll
make
figure it out
patches
someday.
easy.
Take their
so-
foreskins.
Yes, take their foreskins.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus.
Oh, also VR.
What's up?
I might make some patches.
I sent you a private DM. Can you check it?
Is it a picture of your foreskin?
No,
Is it a picture of a politician's foreskin?
possibly.
If it is,
I
want
would
it.
buy a bootlicker
Fuck, it's not.
patch.
Anyway,
Yeah, I wanted a sticker of bootlickers, but then there
I
became
got some. I have a couple thousand of them.
for personal use.
guides.
just Gramps' garage is filled with tons of anti-cuff stickers. Like, fuck, what am I gonna do with these?
Honestly, like,
Why wear pants when you got stickers?
bro? My housekeeper is like full blown status. Like her son's like Terry wants to come home and be like a cop, and like she asked me one day like, what are all these stickers about? Like literally, like, I have a couple boxes full of them like by my dresser in my room, and she's like, what is this about? Like she was all offended.
Did you tell her?
Fuck
Tell
yeah,
her
dude! I
to fuck
broke it down
herself.
for her.
Yeah. Did you fire her right after?
Go fuck
Dude,
yourself,
no,
you
like,
status
it was
piece
to
of
a point where
shit.
it was to a point where she was like, "Oh my god, like the next time he's home, I'm gonna talk to him." And I just told her straight up, I was like, "It's whatever." Like I have plenty of buddies that like went through it and like they like went off and like lost homies and like came home and realized like the whole thing was a bunch of bullshit and like fabricated lies and like kind of they went through. It's whatever. Like he'll figure it out. Like you'll figure it out. It's whatever.
Or he'll just get more status.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one of the other.
That's the 2 ways that it goes.
Honestly, like if you're in the military, you either hate the government and you realize that it's bullshit, or you just feed off of that disgusting
Welfare
shit.
queen.
Wasn't it one of you guys that was telling me or telling us or something that everyone that serves overseas and comes back is on like a terrorist watch list for a little while because they're so susceptible to becoming anti-government?
Yep.
I read an article about that.
I would believe
they're
it for sure.
They're putting battle veterans, guys that actually fought, like on a watch list, and it wasn't even like a short time. It was like they're going to be on it.
I'm not
And
fucking surprised.
Some of them they would
Makes me
limit.
a little bit more hope.
They wouldn't allow them to buy guns and stuff like that.
Damn, that's
What?
hilarious. You got fucking played, you idiots. You went over and killed people for nothing.
Bro,
You'd think if anything was going to wake them up, it would be that. Like, going to
Yeah, I was
fighting
gonna
and
say,
then
like,
coming
yeah,
back and they're like, the government doesn't even trust them anymore.
for real, are they trying?
That's
Are they
the
trying? Are
fucking
they
worst
trying
thing.
those dudes? Like, are they trying those guys? Like, like what else would push you over the edge aside from going across the fucking world and killing a bunch of fucking little kids of goat farmers that have never fucking done shit to us, to come back and then be actually stripped of your own Second Amendment rights? Nevertheless, like, yeah, that'd be, I mean,
because of that quote unquote service.
yeah. Like, what wouldn't put, like, if something was gonna push you over the edge, like, like, tee that shit up, like, put it, you know,
Absolutely.
hit that
Before
shit
we
like
go,
half the hour.
before we go a full hour without doing what we set out to do, I think we should go on to our next origin story.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
shit! Let's go, dads.
that's me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna head on out now. My wife is mad.
All right, tell her I said hi.
She's mad.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
love
for
you
stopping
guys.
by.
Yep.
Shoot her
Big
a link
man.
for me.
Have fun.
You
All
too.
right. Later.
More
Reese.
burpees.
All right, love you.
Yeah, burpees.
Bye, babe.
Bye.
Soup.
Oh, thank God he's gone.
There he
Jesus
is.
Christ, I can barely keep it together.
Dude, that dude came hard with the religious freedom. I don't know how to follow that.
I was
man.
thinking while he was talking, I'm like, how is Dad's gonna come up on this? This is
Bro,
like
I don't even,
set up
I
for
don't
a
even have a
bomb.
good story to begin with, but much less follow that. Like shit.
This drink is mixed way too heavy. I'm gonna die.
Well, I'd love
Dude,
to
I've
hear
been
how you
mixing
called your
heavy
page
all
Founding
fucking
Fathers,
day.
yet you're an anarchist. So I want that cleared up.
You're
Okay.
gonna have to mix strippers into it.
I read an article
do.
today that said that founding fathers weren't libertarian
Oh, fuck that.
by HuffPost.
They're
And
Of
also,
course, it was HuffPost.
Oh
Those
shit!
statist
Well,
and
it
also by
probably
the
is, I mean,
by the Federalist, I think it was. Is that like
Oh,
a
we-
paper?
HuffPost is printing it. It can't be not right.
Well, I think if you lump them all together, they were statists, but I think some of them were fucking full blown ANCAPs.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were libertarian for the times. Like some of them owned slaves, which is like
They're libertarian for our times.
Yeah,
is
Holy
it's
shit.
massively.
unequivocally evil and bad, and like we all understand that.
And
But, like,
also at the epitome of capitalism.
yeah,
They had like a duality. Like they were ANCAP completely in some aspects, and then other ones they were like, "Oh no, we're just gonna fucking own people."
They didn't know. Like they were the first ones to come up with a state that wasn't monarchy.
No,
for the
no,
most
no.
part,
I mean,
you
I
know?
realize
And
that.
they totally believed that they could make it work. They didn't know.
I'm just saying, like it takes a special kind of retarded to not see that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
to not do what?
to not realize that, like, you know,
Well, to
you
say
can
we,
never
we
see
hold these
possibility.
we hold these truths to be self-evident:
all-
life, liberty,
all
pursuit of
people are
happiness,
equal
except for
except for
you.
the
All
blacks.
actual people. Totally agreed. Like,
Well,
go
what-
make me a
totally
sandwich. I'll
agree.
kill you.
Yeah, like totally agree.
Exactly.
Like that's where it makes me like fucking. That's where I lose respect for a lot of those guys. Where it's like, how do you say all this shit and then like at the same time not recognize that that is a fucking person? It just
Oh,
has
yeah.
different
I
melanin
agree.
level. Like that's like all of the shit that you say. Like some of it is fucking amazing, but like none of you actually walked that shit because like.
Like they had all the right ideas and then didn't follow through.
Yeah, right. Like,
Well, I heard
It's like a fat PE teacher.
I heard in the I heard there was a big argument because whether they said life, liberty, and property, which obviously it should be, those are your three Lockean natural rights, or life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Apparently, if they put property in there, the slave owners were going to lose their shit and start another rebellion. Because if you say all people have property rights, obviously you're saying you have your own self property, nobody else
Your
can
own
own you,
self,
and they
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
no, that would cause a lot of shit.
Well, yeah, because it does for slave owners.
Yeah, and so it should.
Yeah.
So they started right off by being bought out by corporations
Yeah, corporatism.
to make the laws.
Yeah. All the right ideas and no follow through.
What a shame.
Some follow
but
through.
that's-
Some
yeah,
follow through.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
You know, the war
You
they
know what I
fought was
mean.
pretty cool.
You know what I mean. Shut the fuck up. I'm drunk as hell.
Yeah, killing all those fucking fucks from.
We can all respect killing a
Redcoats.
redskin.
All right, so dads, how did you get here? What mistakes did you make?
Ah, shit. Fuck ton.
Likewise.
Basically, like I grew up like conservative as hell, like straight up normie con. Like I was extremely pro-police, which hurts me to say now. Yeah, I know. It kind of makes me throw up a little in my mouth.
I'm gonna go
But,
piss right now.
Yeah.
On a related note.
But yeah, I was like,
I'm
extremely
also gonna go
pro-police and-
dilute my drink because if I drink this, I'll die.
All right, just fucking ignore Dad's story.
Wow.
He just said he was pro cop, so
Fuck me.
Hey, not anymore, you motherfucker.
I'll be back in a few seconds. I'm gonna have to. This is the biggest cup I
Ron,
had, so I'm
Well,
gonna have
then
to
don't announce it. Just do it and let him
You're
have his
put it in
interrupting
a
the
story.
man.
Tupperware dish or like
Go
a
ahead, Guns. Go
milk
ahead.
jug.
Fuck me.
Is he cussing right now? Mute your goddamn mic.
You fucking anarchists are all the same.
Hey, now I muted my mic when I went to take.
Yeah, like a
civil.
civilized. You can be an anarchist and have some manners.
Like a fucking gentleman.
Grant is just pissing right into his mic. Episode 10, people. We're keeping it classy.
Yeah.
Are we done with
man.
the pro cop stuff?
Well, there was no pro cop stuff.
No, we've been paused for like 2 minutes. Please carry on, dads.
All right. So yeah, I was conservative as hell. Whole family grew up like supporting cops and military and fucking politicians and shit. And really, I didn't even like. I always kind of like, gun rights was a big one for me because I grew up in Arkansas. So fuck them if they try to take my
Machine
gun.
guns, bitch.
Fuck yeah. But yeah. So I was on board with that, but like actual libertarianism didn't. Trying to think. I guess it came around like senior year of high school for me. Is like when the word came up,
Yeah. Had you ever heard it before then, or?
No, not really. Like some of the ideas were around.
All right, what did I miss?
Fucking
Nothing. We
cunt.
were like paused for 2 minutes. Please carry on.
But yeah, so like senior year of high school,
Damn, we're
this
already
buddy of
senior
mine.
year?
Yeah,
Damn.
it was a rough time.
Would you mind saying like about what year?
What?
'Cause
Like
in my senior year of high school,
had
libertarianism
afros?
wasn't even heard of. Like,
Yeah, that was like
No, like it was
27.
around. I
Valid.
just hadn't heard of
Very
it.
valid.
It was like 2013, 14,
all right.
somewhere right about there. Whenever I started hearing about libertarianism. And I heard about it through a buddy of mine. We've been friends for forever. And all of a sudden, like he used to be a conservative too. And he just started asking me all these questions. Like, well, why do you think pot should be illegal? Because I did it once. Or like I was raised Christian as well. And so I didn't think that gay people should be allowed to be married. Which for the record, I'm completely on board with now. Yeah, I know. This needs to be a no judgment.
Yeah, exactly. This is
No, what I
Right.
was thinking was
This is Libertarians
Rep's
Anonymous.
story was great, but he came up from it. You made this giant turnaround.
Yeah.
That's more miraculous than fucking anything.
It's-
Holy
No,
shit.
no, man.
No
Like, I
offense,
was
it sounds like you were the
against
most statist out of all of us, so it's well done for
Bruh.
getting it.
I was bad, man. I was rough. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I was bad too. I was like wanting to join the military and shit.
yeah,
I
like
never wanted to join the military. I was always pretty against
I-
that.
I
That's
was-
one
I
thing
was-
I had going for me.
I was almost a military officer, so most statist is a pretty fucking
There we
that
go.
title could go to any of us.
See, y'all are making me feel better now. Now I feel
Hey,
Yeah.
that's why it's titled group therapy.
Also, Anglo lives in England, so like
Well, yeah, there's that.
by default, he's probably the most
Most
statist.
statist.
that's a good.
All right.
He bought his status permit fucking 2 months ago. Fuck yeah, he
That
is.
fucking makes sense. I'm the only minicist then.
Exactly.
Permit to use the word liberty.
Bitch ass. Fucking limeys.
I know, fucking
Limeys.
What was I talking about? Where was
I don't know. Sorry.
Senior year, high
are
school.
horrendous.
Oh, you're a total statist.
Friend asking you
military,
questions.
Yeah.
But you disliked the
Please.
military. You disliked the military.
I did. Like I wasn't like wanting to join up or anything. I was very
But-
non-interventionist.
Oh, really? So did you disagree with the wars, like the war on terror stuff?
Yeah, I disagreed with like going to other countries and like fucking with them, but for whatever reason, I didn't make the connection between that and letting people do what they want on our own soil. Like for some
Yeah.
reason, there was a disconnect.
I think we
But,
all have those just inconsistencies in
No,
our
no
beliefs.
tanks in
yeah.
the Middle East, but tanks around the fucking corner.
Exactly. Yeah.
A tank for every police department in America.
Well, the spark has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
There's some moment where you have to make a decision. Where am I going to go with this? And saying something's immoral just because everyone's telling you it's not. That was your. And then you started looking at everything else people have been telling you.
Yeah, and then it grew.
One inconsistency.
A lot of inconsistency.
well, one major one that sticks out and leads you to root out the rest.
Yeah. But yeah, most of it, like I was saying, it came through this one friend. We'd known each other since like fucking kindergarten. Like we came up together. And he just started asking me all these questions, like about pot and about gay people, and just pointing out all the different inconsistencies in what I believed. And eventually, like over probably like a year. Eventually, there was no other options. Like I couldn't argue with it anymore. I had to just face up to it. And I just started trying to cut through all the inconsistencies. I was like, all right, I don't know what I believe, but it's all got to match.
Willing to learn.
Yeah. And so I just started going through everything, man. Just like everything I believed and what lined up with the other stuff and what didn't. And eventually, I became an anarchist because
So
it's fucking
beautiful.
consistent as hell.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
So,
But yeah.
how was your road to anarchy? Like, did you have any stops, like, Big L, Libertarian Party, like, we can vote our way there, and then minarchist, and then anarchy? Or was it just sort of like, fuck, I am so off the chart?
No, it was a road. It was a journey. I didn't just like jump to anarchist from conservative.
Yeah.
I was never a Big L libertarian because, that's
You
how
did,
I rolled.
you did better than me.
But yeah, I was. I'm trying to think what it would be called. I think at first I became like a voluntarist, is what it's called, where I'm just like, yeah, maybe just everything should at least be consensual. Like that needs to be the bare minimum. We don't need to be forcing shit. And then
I
just
take
kind
it.
of moved on, and I was like, shit, why are we telling people to do anything? Like let them just do their own shit. Like as long as it's not hurting anybody else, then why do I give a fuck?
It's a beautiful thought. Like, it's so fucking simple and obvious. And the fact that it's such a road to get to. And then when you get there, it's annoying because you're like, why the fuck did I struggle with this? And why does everyone else?
Yeah, that's
It's
a
a
big question.
journey up until like right at the end, and then it all just kind of clicks together.
Yeah.
Like it's all a process. It's all a process, and then in 1 second you're like, well, fuck. Like this is so obvious.
There's doubt, and you're like, well, maybe this would be a problem. And then you get there, and you're just like, well, fucking duh.
Yeah, like how did I not see this? Like, of course the cops are fucking tyrants.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But then you find yourself questioning everything that you do. Everything. You're like, does this follow the NAP?
That was the biggest part of the process.
But by then
thing.
you already have the philosophy of what's right, and now you're going to pick out every little thing in your life and be like, am I following it completely?
Well, yeah, that's just part of becoming consistent, though, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it's a necessary part. Like, it takes a fucking long time to go through every single thing you believe and reevaluate it.
Yeah.
But it's consistent.
I think it
it's
takes
necessary.
I think it takes like a co-pilot. I think it takes someone that's kind of already on the other side to like kind of help highlight your inconsistencies before you recognize the necessity to like get to that full-blown baseline.
I agree. So, but like, who was the first co-pilot? Like everybody says, like,
dude, my first.
Oh, I had a friend that like helped bring me over. Like,
You lucky motherfuckers.
who was the first friend? Like,
I'll tell you about mine when Dad's is done, because like mine was like in my story.
Mine was whiskey.
I didn't have any one friend. Like, if anything, I was the friend always preaching the anarchy and
you're from the old
government and everything.
The old.
I'm with you for the most part. That on that hang. I'm like quarter old.
Like it was finally just being able to meet other people that were saying the same thing as me that totally brought me over 100%.
You're like, oh, thank fuck, I'm not nuts.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Like, thank God there are other people.
Affirmation that you're not actually like, yeah.
Dingbat.
Yeah, like
You're not nuts.
Hang on.
I'm not sure.
Did we
I'm
tell
not
Dads?
alone in this.
Did
I'm
we
not
tell
alone in
Dads
this.
to
There's someone
continue and
else.
then just start another tangent?
Yes, we did.
This is
But
going really
that's
well.
what we do.
Yeah,
Like-
that's just how we roll, man.
All right, Dads, get back to it. Sorry.
You're good. I think I was pretty much done. You know,
Oh,
like there was the one friend that kind of started me on it, and then it was
All right,
all
was
just
it my turn?
a steady progression.
Well,
because
I think an important question that I like to sort of wrap up with is what then brought you to be like, right, I got to preach this to other people.
Well, honestly, that was part of the consistency thing, because I got to thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I've got all these ideas, I've got these beliefs that I feel so strongly about, but what am I actually doing to further that, you know? And so the only thing that I could come up with to like further it and actually do something
is it do it
was
individually?
just to convince other people, hearts and minds.
I think that's why we're all here.
One conversation at a time.
Honestly, that was the greatest way to put it.
Yeah,
That's
sums it up.
That's why we do what we do. That's why
Well,
we do
yeah.
it.
Were you already following like, Whiskey or Babylon or any of the big guys? Or
Oh yeah,
did-
yeah. I was following Whiskey and Babylon, but like I would see some of their stuff and be like, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And like, but back in the day, and then they'd post like an anti-cop thing, and I was like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense at all.
that was my
'Cause,
final hurdle.
Because I was a fucking idiot,
Oh yeah.
Do you want to know the fucking stupidest thing I ever said? Like, probably the first day I would have called myself a libertarian of any description. I was talking to my friend about right of self-defense, and I thought, well, no, we shouldn't be able to own guns. Don't be stupid, in my fucking retarded ways. And he was saying, how do you believe in self-defense when we shouldn't own guns? And I fucking said, I believe we should have more police and they should all be armed.
Oh,
How fucking stupid is that?
I was about to say I think I could beat you.
Oh, you reckon? You think you can beat that?
I can go me again.
But then my friend who is a full-on conservative said to me, "But hang on, the police are just like the state with a gun." And I went, "Oh shit! Of course they fucking are."
Even the conservatives were pointing out your inconsistencies.
I know that was a big one.
Like,
that is rough.
Yeah.
when they're arguing your ideology better, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I knew
is rough.
something was wrong there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's gross as shit, dog.
I
I'm gonna be
know.
honest.
Sorry.
No. So mine's almost as bad. So like my
Yeah, I
last,
hope it's not that bad. Because
my last,
We're in for a rough
hurdle-
time if it is.
Oh yeah, my last hurdle was cops as well, and so I was following Whiskey for ages, and he was kind of my buddy because Brits aren't libertarian. So if you're a conservative and you follow these, pro-gun pages like Whiskey and shit, that's where you get your liberty influence from. And so every time I'd be like, yeah, fuck the government, taxation is theft, and then I'd see a cop post and be like, oh come on, man, cops aren't bad. And
Yeah,
then
like they're not that bad. Come on now.
they're heroes, and so
Target acquired.
no. So
oh, I need a shower.
so
God,
so most people like in the last episode, guns like kept on running me off track because of my fucking memory. It's damaged from an assault that I suffered, and so this assault
Idiot.
was dealt with by police, and so the police did
what?
Yeah. So no. I got assaulted and the police came and did fuck all. But that's another story in itself. And so essentially, after I was assaulted, I was sitting there in hospital answering questions about the assault.
And that's why he's retarded now, by the way.
No, that's half the reason.
This is half the reason.
Is that why you can't record podcasts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be it.
But
Can't work a fucking computer.
So this cop was sitting there asking me questions, and I recognized the thin blue line from like pro-gun pages on Instagram, and this cop had like a thin blue line Union Jack patch, and you know what I fucking said? You know what this fucking cop said? I said to this cop, I go, "Nice thin blue line patch, officer."
Mm.
Did you fucking unzip his pants as well while you were there?
Well, like it was hard
He
to
did
say.
when he got home.
It was hard to say when I had his cock in my mouth in the in the hospital waiting room, but I managed it. I'm very talented.
Jesus Christ, sweetheart.
I know. I'm ashamed to this fuck. And the thing is,
Wait,
the
when
cop-
was this?
a couple years ago. So
It was right
Where?
before he swallowed.
In the States?
no, this was back in England, and
They have thin blue line patches in
Yep.
England?
Yep. And so
I
wish
see.
that
Oh
shit
yeah, I see advertisements for them all the time on Instagram and just comment some shit and get deleted straight away.
yeah, it's disgusting. But so you know what? These cops never caught the person. It was me and my friends who managed to track down who assaulted me. So the cops ended up doing fuck all apart from arresting them and then releasing them later on to then assault more people.
Imagine that. The cops
Yeah,
are worthless? What the
Big-
fuck?
I know. My friends essentially acted as private investigators and found them while I was heavily cussed. So the whole thing, I praised their fucking patch for nothing. They did fuck all. That was my last hurdle.
I would honestly
masturbated
be
home.
more ashamed of saying that than what I did to my friend, because at least
Really?
like it took him like one fucking sentence and went, oh yeah, that was stupid. But God, that would stick with me for life.
Oh no, it does, Anglo. I drink
Good.
to forget, and I
Good, so
haven't
you
yet.
should.
So I'm gonna keep on fucking drinking. Please, Gary.
Yeah.
Please, Gary.
You forget everything else,
We've
but
all-
not that.
We've all got that shit.
Mm,
Shit we regret.
Yeah,
fucking disgusting.
it's why we're so fucking alcoholic.
Yeah, probably.
Must be.
Honestly, probably.
Ignorance is
You guys
bliss.
make me feel really good. I've thankfully never fleeched law enforcement.
Yeah, you are probably the most savage of us, though.
You go all in, and I
I've
fucking
never
love it.
liked cops ever in my
Never.
life since they pulled me over my mini bike when I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah,
They gave me this riot
Fuck
rag
them,
about how they're gonna
fuck
fucking
'em all.
take my license away from me, and I'm like, dude, I'm riding my mini bike. I'm like, what the fuck? There's no cars out here.
yeah, bro. We're gonna make it so you can't get your license even when you turn.
We'll
16, bitch.
tow this thing, and then your parents will have to
Tow
fucking.
it.
And then my
You
parents
pick it
are
up,
like,
you twat.
this
I'm
dude
gonna
says he's
tell
gonna
your
fucking tow
dad.
this thing, and it's gonna cost us money. Don't be
Fuck off,
stupid.
Blue
And
Man.
I'm like, I'm not being stupid. Like, this
You're
thing can't
being
pass
stupid.
a car. It's a mini bike. Fuck.
Fucking yeah, it's one thing to have never liked cops, but it's another thing to be like out with your family at a carnival and a cop walks up to your kid and then you're like, "Hey, fuck off! I taught her not to talk to traitors."
Yeah.
That wasn't the exact. That wasn't verbatim.
No, that would
I
actually
mean,
will
that-
happen. Let some
It's not
dumb cop
verbatim.
walk up to my kid and try to hand him some fucking badge, and my kid will fucking literally take a shit on that in the middle of the public.
You should
With
be
no
proud as
pants
hell
on.
of your children.
I am proud as hell. Like,
I
that
am
is-
proud for
that
you.
is amazing.
Yeah, man.
But that's what I mean that you're the most savage because, like, I mean, damn, like,
yeah,
shit.
my kids don't play that shit. They know what the fuck they are. But
Man, I don't have any
ruthless.
kids, but one of my proudest
you to-
moments is talking to my little brother about like a Gadsden, about how just god awful cops are. 'Cause the little kid gets it. He's like 12.
Nice.
I don't have kids I can be proud of, but that's fucking awesome.
well,
Take
that's
what
the
you
next
can get.
best thing. Be proud of your little
I
brother.
picked my at the time she was 14. My middle kid up from school. We're just driving home. It's like 5 minutes. I'm talking to her. I'm like, well, she just got in high school, and I'm like, so you're in high school now. You think about what you want to do with the rest of your life. She looks at me and she goes, I'm thinking about being a cop. And like, dude, I'm doing like 25 miles an hour, and I almost wrecked it into a fucking mailbox. And I look over at her, and she's laughing her fucking ass off, dude. Totally played me. Totally played
What a
me.
legend.
That is funny.
Oh, I would be so proud.
You're about to kick.
Oh,
me out the
I was.
house.
I was. The second I realized I wasn't scared anymore and failed,
The adrenaline left you.
then like I went from like total failure and like almost wrecking the car to like, oh my god, that is so awesome. She's busting my balls.
All right. So I believe we have one last story left.
Yeah, Gramps.
Oh, boy.
Savage.
Drum roll.
Our
Yeah.
resident cop hater.
The man,
Low
the
budget
myth,
as fuck.
the legend, Graham.
Right on.
The moderately young guy that we call the old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not slightly older than the rest of you. And younger But
Oh, he's-
I was told how young you sounded, and they didn't understand why you were being called Gramps.
To be
Yeah.
fair, we called him Gramps before Hingham got here.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
Then we were like,
That's
Like-
what I told him. I'm like, he had Gramps way established when I got in.
Yeah,
And-
and then I was like, well, we should call Hingham Oldie, but that didn't stick.
we can call him Great Gramps.
that's not good. That's
Should we,
not
should we
good.
call Hang'em Great Gramps? Does that work?
great.
Great Gramps?
Too
Man,
long.
we can't have
The
great
latest
Gramps,
Gramps.
Gramps, and dads.
Yeah, we can.
Too much.
It's a whole autistic family. Of course we can.
Down the
Too much
generations.
family. Generational autism.
All right, so Gramps, where do we start with you?
All right, so like we were just discussing, I'm a little like whatever. I mean, I made the turn probably back like I think we asked about like eye-opening experiences or whatever. Like, I think the one that like really did it, like, I mean, like I said, I was alive for like Rodney King riots. I was alive for Bondi Hill, Waco,
Segregation.
Jim Crow laws.
Jim
This man
Crow
was around for the beginning of slavery.
Slavery, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
You signed the
He
Constitution,
came
didn't
over on the Mayflower.
I mean,
I'm gonna spit my fucking rum, you cunt.
I'm way too fucking drunk for this.
you guys are fucking brutal.
Oh man,
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
Gramps. Go ahead. I
Yeah, go ahead before the life expectancy kicks in. And
You're already pushing it a bit there, mate.
Oh man.
All right, so yeah, like I think like we were talking about like specific instances, and I think honestly, I had always been kind of like walking the line, like where like I remember a couple of my history teachers. I had one American history teacher, like civics teacher, that was like super conservative, and like my family was like I like my parents were divorced, so like I kind of got a little bit two different sides. Like my stepdad was an attorney, and like he was like pretty based, honestly. Like his opinions were super fucking based. And
I mean, the law will do that to you.
yeah, and like you know, like he kind of like maybe ushered me into my cop hating, just like, and showed me like the corruptness just from like the shit that he saw and dealt with day to day, like dealing with in law. Like, you know,
Hell
he
yeah.
He was
He
like
wasn't-
criminal, I take it.
no, he actually wasn't in criminal law, but one of his partners were you know, dealt in criminal stuff, and like, you know, it was
And he
like,
found it disgusting, and he decided he wanted to share it with you.
oh, absolutely, like, yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
we were, you know, like, and also like I don't know, like back in the day, like, you know, there like some of the media out are like have done like 180 degrees since when I was a kid, and like I remember like I was kind of we were pretty conservative, you know, like I was raised on like NPR, and like I said, like when I was a kid, NPR was like 180 degrees from what it is today, and like I don't know, and like we kind of talked about stuff, current events, and like we we talked about like what was happening, and I kind of got a good little like rundown of both sides, and like how like legality didn't necessarily mean constitutional, didn't necessarily mean, you know, morality. I was able to like ingest that at a very young age, and like by the time I was maybe like a sophomore in high school, I had a pretty solid like and hardened opinions about like the government and like where they were standing, and this was back in like, you know,
72.
no, but this is back in like early, you know, like 2000s. Like this is like back in 2000s. This is pre 9/11 kind of stuff, and like I remember
Before I got really fucked.
yeah, honestly, but like I remember even then questioning like and having questions like with my American history teachers that are just like, yo, like wait a minute, like so this clearly says like shall not be infringed, but like I legally can't have like a 9mm in my, you know, concealed in my
In my backpack. right
I
now.
can't
Yeah.
carry it to school. What the fuck?
At 4 o'clock right now. So what the fuck is this bullshit? You
No,
know, and
like, why do we not have rocket launcher class?
yeah, honestly, like basically, like I said, like I mean, I was that like kid, like whose dad or stepdad was like a lawyer and kind of like maybe was schooled a little bit more, and like I didn't know shit, but like I was able to like repeat stuff, and like I kind of like picked up on stuff, and it was enough to kind of spur me into like learning, you know, and like
Wow.
I kind of like was able to push back in certain classrooms. I remember like 9/11 was probably like where it like turned like full bore for me, like 100%. Like, yo, like I am not crazy. This shit is not just me. Like this shit's really happening, and like there really is some crazy plays going on. Too.
So you think 9/11 was an inside job?
Oh fuck yeah, it was an inside job, dude. That shit like
Wait, you don't?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trust the
I was
government?
about to say, what the
well,
fuck?
I guess like not only do I think it was an inside job, but like I recognize that it was an inside job like in 2002. You know,
Yeah, I mean, you can realize solely based on what happened with the political climate that was designed to happen. But then,
And,
like, you can look at physical evidence and be like, huh.
like I had like I'm not sure if I want to throw his name out there. It's not like we have any clout or anything, really, but like I had a history teacher specifically in like my junior, like the year that happened. Like I was in his classroom when World Trade Centers like got blown up by our own government.
I was in preschool,
and like
same.
Like I just like I remember that was it for me. Like that was it for me, and like I kind of had like a mentor like that was like actually one of my school teachers that was like willing to have these conversations with me. That like, yo, you are not crazy in thinking this. Like you are not alone.
Thank
Don't
fuck.
like,
dude. That teacher
like,
was the last of a dying breed, bro.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
like he was honestly like
They
he
all
was,
suck now.
you know, like he was awesome. I like can't thank him enough. Like I actually caught up with him at my 15-year reunion, and just kind of like last time I was in town, like was able to thank him and tell him like how much I appreciated that shit, and like how much better off like our country would be if there was still history teachers like him, and like, you know, and yeah, dude, like that was kind of when I started to pay attention and like get really serious. And like, I guess when it comes to like getting active on Instagram, like before I started the Bootlickers Beware account, I had a pretty
weed.
Yeah, weed, like you guys all know it. Like the general public, you know, my following doesn't. I've been involved in cannabis and from my whole life. And
me too. I just never capitalized off of it.
Missing out,
I
dude.
just didn't make a fucking page about it.
you know, basically the hypocrisy that's highlighted through not only our nation's gun laws but our nation's drug laws, like kind of
hand in hand.
Yeah, work together to kind of walk me down this path of anarchism. Just kind of highlight to me that like these people are like they're not consistent, and like I'm glad that you touched so strongly on consistency, dads, because like that's like where I'm at with all this stuff, and you know, like it just it's all got to come together.
Self-responsibility is all about being consistent.
That was the biggest thing for me, for sure.
Yep.
And like, you know, people think like, oh, we're anarchists, or we're I guess like we all call ourselves libertarians, or at one point in time did, but like that's just like before we like really realized that like, nah, we don't have to hide what the fuck we are. Like I'm not a libertarian. Like this is all bullshit. Like I want my individual freedom. I want your individual freedom. I want your family's individual freedom. You know, like I want like no, I want you to
take it,
you know,
and I want to absorb it. I'll use it for myself.
You know what the fuck I'm talking about.
It is a cult.
It's kind of crazy how we all have to kind of walk down those paths and how like we all do it at different like times. And you know, like I think like I had a really like a pretty like a very successful weed account that like I used to trickle like my liberty opinions and views on certain stuff, and like actually
wait.
That's a good group to do it.
Oh,
Was
well,
it
yeah.
was it the
you know,
weed
I
account?
know potheads that have been
Yes
busted
and-
for pot, and then
yes and
like
Yes and no though.
talk
'cause,
about
like,
how well the cop was just doing his job.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, dude? I'm like, you just got busted for you're smoking weed. What are you doing wrong? You weren't even
exactly.
smoking it. You just had it on you.
Whoa,
They
whoa,
found a
wait.
seed in your car from 8 months ago.
So
Yeah.
so Gramps, is that what led into your current account? Like, was it?
Yeah,
because
oh,
you
yeah,
wanted
that's-
to make it all about liberty.
Basically, yeah. Like
You
I
got
had
zucked,
like
didn't it?
I got zucked. I had like 24. I had like a little over 20,000 followers,
Oof.
and
Oh shit,
you know, like I guess just
Big
like
boy.
I started. I found whiskey, and like this is obviously I was very solidified in my anarchist like libertarian views, and I had actually like just started following whiskey like right about the time like I had followed the a couple different like thin blue line tags or like police brutality tags like while I was on my like weed account.
So
And,
you
like,
would say you were setting your anarchy before you even found whiskey.
oh wait, yeah. I mean,
when you
I've
found
been-
them, it wasn't a lot of people when they find them, it's like an awakening. You were just like, oh, thank God.
yeah, it was like, thank God I'm not alone. I actually like when I first found whiskey on my old weed account, like I had like been talking to him about how like, yo man, like your 4th of July speech was awesome. I'm gonna integrate that into my homeschooling curriculum with my kids, you know, like I like that was like none of that was like awakening to me. It was comforting to me to know that like there's other people that were there fully with me. And like
Gotcha.
Wow, that's so cool.
he was there for different reasons, like, but at the same time, like I have buddies that like walked his path. Like when
Like the
I
military
was like
thing?
exactly like when
Yeah.
I was in
Babylon did
high
the same thing.
and I was like saw that shit for what it was, and like all my buddies are like enlisting to go like kill all these fucking terrorists, you know, and
Oh,
and then
fuck
it's like
that.
they ate that shit hook, line, and sinker, and like you
Yeah.
know, like there we are, like 5-6 years later, like we're all back. It's all common knowledge that like our government like either like did that shit directly or had direct knowledge for a long period of time to know enough to do something about it and didn't and chose to
Took
not.
advantage.
How like I don't want to derail this podcast to that, but like however like whether you want to from mild to wild, whatever it is, like you have to recognize the responsibility of our government in that. And like I had friends that like firsthand moved home after that or came back, and like they weren't the same. They were not the same people, and like they had like literally killed fucking people over this shit, and come to find out that like they were wrong. The
Yeah,
things
for
that they
nothing.
went through and the things that they did was all a fucking lie, and it was a lie by the same people that were motivated to fucking that are the same people that were paying their their check and their subsidies and all the
ones
bullshit
that they were actually killing for.
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
and like
dude, basically, people in the Middle East are fighting a boogaloo against the United States.
yeah,
Oh, completely.
fucking
Oh,
I
crazy.
completely
God.
support it.
It's fucking
Yeah.
crazy. And like,
100%.
I literally like, I mean, I don't want to act like I'm some victim of that because like I personally didn't go through that, but my little brother enlisted. I mean, thank God,
Oh, man.
thank God he didn't get like, thank God he never actually had to get over there and get into shit. But like, I mean, I have
Oh,
friends that
fuck.
like literally are fucked and like they're okay, like they're okay, like they're here, they're alive, you know, but like they're not the same people, and like
Fuck no.
dealing with the recognition that like that of like what they did and like and what it all was for and why it all happened is fucking devastating. And like
Well, I explained
Like-
to my kid, she wanted to join the Air Force. And she's
No.
like, well, I'm not going to be out killing people. I'm going to be working on planes.
Nah,
And
just
I'm
support
like,
the
no,
mission.
you're working
planes
on
that
planes
kill
that are
people.
killing people.
You're gonna be literally loading the bombs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I didn't
I had
see it
to-
like that.
I didn't
had
pull a
to-
trigger, so then that means I didn't have the ability. No, fuck that. Like you didn't
Like, you-
unless you fucking blew that plane up, like you have responsibility. Like,
Yeah. I had the same conversation with my little brother. He was talking about joining the Air Force.
you know,
And I just
like
pulled him aside away from the family. I was like, look, dude, you can't do this, and here's why. Like, this is fucking retarded. You need to get your head straight.
I'm telling you, no.
dude, like
I didn't tell him what he
You're my
could
property.
do. I gave him all the reasons he shouldn't.
Yeah, that's what I
Like
do for
my-
my followers too.
Yeah,
And thank
my little
fuck
brother-
he came to his senses.
Yeah,
But that's what my kid.
I
That's
like
what
when
my
people
kid. She
send
did
me videos.
ROTC.
And, like my little brother finally did too. You know, and like he luckily had to go. I mean, he had to go through some shit, but like it all worked out. Like I don't know. Like yeah, I've been deep in this anarchist / libertarianism, whatever you call it, for a long time. You know, like sometimes I get conflicted between participating in this voting scheme and not. It's just like,
Oh no, fuck
It's all-
voting.
you know, like yeah, basically fuck voting. But you know, it all comes down to like until I like kind of found the liberty like community on Instagram. I kind of felt very alone in my view, and like I felt like, you know, like I am like not very many people in my family like value, you know, these ideals nearly as much as I do. Sometimes they think they do, but there's a lot of FUD. The FUD is real, like within you know, at least my dad's side of the family. And you know, I've just been here trying to find the real medium and the real base, and like it's a learning process every day, you know, like it's never like concrete. Like you have
I
to
think
be
it needs to be said that you serve a specific something different in our group, that like you, for the most part, are like all news. You don't do a lot of memes. Like you are straight giving facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Dude,
Well, I straight shouted your shit out today because like you are one of the best sources for proving that like the state and its enforcers, aka cops, are it's not for you. It's against you. It's for them against you.
I've
That's
been
the whole
using
thing.
your page for that for longer than I've had the
Yep.
Founding Fathers page.
Oh, my personal
Yeah.
page, I think I was following you before I followed Whiskey.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
I think that
That's
helped me
awesome.
find Whiskey and work my way that way.
awesome.
I
'Cause that's-
used you
that's
as like a
mainly the-
reference.
dude. That's perfect because that's mainly like the intention page. That's awesome. Like I'm like naturally found that like 'cause that's what I'm there for. That's what I'm doing. It's like
Oh,
I'm not
fuck
trying
yeah.
to be when I
Yeah.
first started it out, like I got deleted. I had a very successful like high, like I had some serious clout like within the cannabis industry on this page, and like they just deleted my shit because the opinions that I was sharing coming from what like looked like I should be some liberal person who should like want to hand over my guns and and coward like
Yeah.
no, like the
Fuck
opinions
guns,
that I was
smoke
sharing
weed.
coming from a guy that was growing you know, all the cannabis that I was growing, that was not well received. And like I was finally like, you know what, fuck it, like I can get how like that message could be convoluted. All these neoconservatives could be like dismissing me just because my profile picture has to do with like a greenhouse that's smashed out with over, you know, a couple 100 pounds of fucking dope in it, you know. And it's just like, all right, well, like I can do that. So when I first started out, like I did like no memes. Like I didn't even post like I didn't even post articles. If you look all the way back, like I used to not even post articles about arrests. It was only about convictions because I wasn't trying to deal with like bootlickers that were trying to like make apologies and deal with and like no.
I need to hear the whole story.
Yeah, like here's the whole fucking thing. This guy was actually convicted, dude. Like we're not gonna argue about like whether or not there's nothing subjective left. Like this happened.
This
And,
is
like,
your court system. This is
Yeah.
the system that you say a civilized society works with.
Exactly.
All these other
And, like,
motherfuckers that got busted with a half ounce of weed and are doing fucking 8 years. This is the system that you're constantly telling me is why we pay taxes.
yeah,
And
exactly.
they just
And, like,
The
said
social
fuck this cop
contract.
because this cop's a rapist.
Yep,
Yeah,
convicted
basically.
Officer Peter.
yeah, Officer Tito. Yeah,
And then
dude,
they give
like,
you the whole couple bad apples.
Yeah,
well, like,
that's my
I-
favorite thing. Like I use.
I trolled a couple like the Thin Blue Line accounts like last 4th of July, and I went a little, like, this is back on my weed account, and like I said, they ended up just deleting my whole shit. Like, they deleted everything. Like, I appealed a couple times, never heard anything. Like, they blocked my IP address. Like, I had to go get like a new device, like all kinds of shit to like get it to where I could even log in Instagram on my device anymore.
New
And, like,
email, new everything.
Knew everything, and then I was
New
like,
everything. Hardware,
fuck it, like,
software.
New wife.
if they deleted me because of my opinion, I'm going to erase my opinion. I'm gonna do nothing but just bring them facts. Like, that's all that I was gonna do. And I wanted to be a resource for guys like for you guys. I want to be a resource for everybody. Like, anybody who needs to be like convincing their grandmother or their cousin or their uncle who is a cop that like this is why people don't want to share a Starbucks with you. Like, I am that resource. Show them my shit. Like, everything that I post ain't legit. And I'm like torn on posting memes because like I almost don't want to like water it down what I'm doing with a bunch of my like extreme opinions, because like what I post is real shit. Like, that stuff's that's actually happening across the country every fucking day. And like that alone is enough for me to do it. But like, you know, like the limitations on accounts and everything else that we deal with, you know, like we're like it fucking makes it tough, man. Like, it makes it tough, but it's necessary.
They don't want to hear the truth, man. They're silencing the truth.
Yeah, they don't want to hear the truth, but like at this point, I challenge, like I gotta like pass it on to like you guys and everybody else, everybody that's listening to this, like to like pass that shit on, because like my reach has been shut off. Like, I am like I may as well not even exist. If you already follow me, that's the only reason that you see me. Nobody else is seeing. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
like,
that's why we tell other people about you. Like, I still use you as that resource.
I use my
Like,
pages.
people are like, "Oh man, it's just a couple bad apples," and I'm like, "No, you need to check out this page because it's
Here's
all bad
an
apples."
archive of hundreds of bad
Yeah.
apples.
yeah,
Here is all the instances. It's not a couple
Before
of
I
bad
give a
apples. It's fucking
statistic
thousands.
out, I check your page and go through some articles before I give out any kind of information about cops, because I know people are going to come back, and I'm like, well, here's this story. Here's this story.
Yeah, man. You don't need to be discouraged just because you're being shadow banned, because you were.
well,
still
I
doing
guess
hella
like
good
I guess
shit.
what I'm saying is I appreciate. Yeah, I know you guys, but I guess I just want to say to everybody else, like, feel free. Like, I am that resource. Like, that's why I do it. Like, I see a couple of these other guys. Like, there's other accounts out here that are doing it, and I appreciate them like sticking up for what they're doing. But like, they still haven't gotten to where we all are. Where it's like, no, we're not sticking up for we're not trying to speak out against police brutality while standing up for the good cop. No, fuck that shit. Like,
The good
like
cops aren't speaking up.
the good
Fuck
cop,
anyone
yeah.
fuck anyone
I
in a
wouldn't have
badge.
If the good cops existed, I wouldn't have to be doing my shit, because like they would be regulating their own community, just like every other community out there. Like,
Exactly.
you know, like,
Thin blue whiners support their brotherhood.
fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. But I don't know. Like, I guess there's no. I don't know. My roots have been deep in this. I'm glad that I found all you. Glad that I feel like. I'm glad that it's going somewhere. That I can be a resource, and you know.
I mean, we need you to be 10 times bigger, because you used to be like the biggest account out of us. We were like, oh fuck yeah, we'll get to bootlickers.
Like, yeah, we're gonna catch up someday. Maybe.
Yeah. And now it's like, why the fuck aren't you way bigger than any of us? You are the archive everyone needs to fucking know about.
I've literally been shadow banned since I've had like 700 followers. Like,
Yeah.
You've been shadow banned since I started following you.
You've been,
You've been
grabbed,
I mean,
dude.
fucking day.
for as long as I've been here and
Way
making a
back in the
ripple,
fucking day.
like it's kind
It's
of a miracle
equal.
that I
It's
haven't
equal
been
to
as
the
well.
people deleting that Bella chick.
Belle Delphine.
Yeah,
Why are we going?
yeah.
Every fucking podcast.
I don't follow that chick. I never
Wait,
even
who?
knew about her.
Well, nobody follows her now because
Yeah.
you guys.
I don't know who y'all are talking about. What?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're better
Belle
off that
Delphine.
way. Let's not fucking.
Belle
Some-
Delphine, she's a cutie.
I'll stop.
She is what she is.
She is a cutie. I mean,
But,
she's objectively attractive. I don't give a fuck what you say.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
is that the girl in like the cat ears that Guns is
Bathtub
always
water.
putting
Yeah.
up pictures?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. I know who
There
you're
you
talking
go.
Yeah,
I know
Anglo
who you're
just
talking
posted about that one dude that got rid of her.
That little fucking.
Yeah, I put it on my story. One fucking random. It's like a little kid that has. He's got like.
I don't
It's
follow,
it's a
but,
fucking
like-
dog puppet. If one kid who makes videos of a dog puppet going like making stupid voices is the one that fucking deleted the page, and now he's got like 40,000 followers or something.
That's bullshit.
I
dude.
follow him. Fucking legend.
And the amount of status shit that came off of that post. Oh well, she shouldn't have been doing it anyways. So.
I'm only doing it for the memes. No, she shouldn't have got fucking banned. It's just funny to piss everyone
Right.
off.
Just
What'd
like
you do?
Impressive Meme said,
What'd she do?
if you support censorship
Nothing, like,
of other
she-
pages, you're a piece of shit.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
she
you did, but I don't
she
know.
One
DM'd
of
me
the
about that.
biggest
She
things
wasn't happy.
was one of the biggest things was, well, she makes herself look young to attract men that like young girls.
Like,
I'm like,
I
isn't
would
that what
pedophile
every
young?
fucking woman does?
Isn't that what makeup is?
Tries to make themselves look young.
I would agree with that, but she makes herself like. I would agree with that, but she. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think she's
But
only like
everyone-
19, so you know what? She is already young.
But
She's
I
been
guess-
legal for 3
hold
years
on,
in this
time
country.
out. Theo, just to be the devil's advocate, and I don't give a. She can do whatever the fuck she wants to do, and obviously she was successful doing it or whatever. But like most girls who are 14 are trying to look 19. She was like a 19-year-old trying to look 14, which is really
Oh.
All right, well, to wrap this up,
Fucking yeah.
this
do it
has
all.
been the second
A
part of
long
Origin
ass night.
Stories. Yeah, and also clip there. Well, hold on a second. I guess not. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It's been a long fucking day. We've been here for 4 hours. Anyway,
Which is proof of our
appreciate
love.
it. Tune in next time because we are recording the next podcast right now, and it'll be posted shortly after you listen to this one.
an hour ago.
Yeah.